Hello and a very warm welcome. And in this one, we are going to talk about something that is a little scary. The scary is this prelims of 2023, especially if you are a first timer. And by first timer, I mean someone who has never cleared the prelim. It may be your second attempt, it may be your third attempt. But if until now you have not cleared the prelim, consider yourself first timer. There are certain things that I'm going to discuss with you, and these things will very well help you rescue your prelim. First and foremost, let's understand that we have got sufficient time to rescue our prelim if we are willing to take some systematic effort in the right direction. The purpose of this video is to basically help you with that plan that you can implement over the period of next 90 days. So here we go. And this is your context. Context is very obvious. Prelim 2023 is very, very close. No two ways about it. Just 90 days are left. I am basically taking a little bit of margin. So 90 effective days are left. By calendar, there are slightly more number of days, but that is all right. And there are two factors which are basically creating pressure on you. First and foremost, peer pressure. Most of the time, we tend to project the things that we have not actually done, but we hope we would have done it. We hope that we should have done it. Like many of you would feel that by now you should have completed your optional. By now you should have prepared your entire GS at least for one cycle and so on. And it is very much possible that you have not done it despite your best intentions up until now. So there is something that you want to do and there is something else that happens in the real world, especially if you are a first timer. But when you meet a friend, you will tell, मेरा GS हो गया है, अब मैं revision के cycle में हूँ. So the way you do it to your friends are also doing it to you. And that builds serious pressure. Oh my God, XYZ has completed the GS. Oh my God, XYZ is scoring this much in GS, so on and so forth. So there is a peer pressure. Please understand, after a point, this is your individual journey. Two of you might have started your preparation at the same time. Two of you might have walked together for quite some distance. But as you draw close to the examination, the individual realities will be very different. Someone might be doing slightly better. Someone might be doing a little less. But the last 90 days can still make all the difference. Even if you have been doing less, a little less, much less, whatever, this is your last and final opportunity to cover that gap and finally be in the prelims list. Second, nowadays, the noise on the social media, where everyone has an opinion, everyone has a voice, that noise is also very confusing. You will have a lot of teachers coming and giving you the ideal state scenario. By now, you should have completed your optional subject for the main. By now, you should have done all the answer writing. By now, you should have read Lakshmikant 3 times and so on. And you feel, okay, everyone else has done it. I'm the only one who has not done it. Okay. So this video is for those real world people who feel left behind. That is the context. Those who have already done what has been suggested in other YouTube videos. So you can very well leave this video here. But rest of you, please persist. And I have got a simple practical formulation about 10 points to share with you. So I'm not calling it 10 tips. These are my 10 humble suggestions. Some of them will resonate with you and you may like to implement them. At many places, I will also give you the reason why I'm suggesting what I'm suggesting. Let's start. This is the first thing. And this thing is, follow one resource per subject. So you can do anything. But please understand, you cannot do everything. So when you can do anything and not everything, be sure that you are doing one good resource for each subject. That is pretty much all. You may be wanting to ask me right now that will I be able to get all the questions from this one source that you are telling? Answer is of course no. Okay, so what is the alternative? I give you 5 sources. Then you ask the same question, that now you have told me 5 books per subject. Now can you guarantee all the questions will be coming from these 5 sources that you have told me? No. Even if I increase the number of resources to 10 books per subject, I, or for that matter anyone else, won't be able to guarantee that all the questions are going to come from these 10 books in history, these 10 books in polity. That is not going to happen. So you would be wanting to ask, so how do I fill the gap? We will find ways to fill the gap later in this video, but let us first establish the basic principle that for everything you have to do one single good resource. Okay, so for ancient and medieval India history, do your NCERTs. For ancient and medieval. For modern, you can do Rajiv Ahir's Spectrum book. Then you would be wanting to know, so does it mean I should not be doing NCERT? What are you saying, not doing NCERT? My point is, most of the facts that NCERT has to give you are already covered in a Spectrum's book. And they are not paying me any commission for that, unfortunately. Yet, most of the things are covered. And how many questions can come from obscure facts, which are not there in one standard source and which are necessarily there in the NCERT? Maybe 1 question, maybe 2 questions in a given year. So do you really want to add yet another book? And what if those obscure questions are also not from the NCERT? Then where are you? So if you really want to do NCERT, I would say get some kind of summary. There are a lot of summaries of NCERT in the market. Get some kind of summary. If you have been attending a coaching class, so get your coaching classes notes on the NCERT. Do the NCERT Modern India from there and read Rajiv Ahir's Spectrum textbook. That is all. If your coaching class has assured that we have included everything that is there in the NCERT and Spectrum, then you very well study their notes. There is no point. The point is either you read this or read something that extracts everything from this. For polity, Mr. Lakshmikant's book has been established as a gold standard, and it is very much so for the civil service examination. You will find it very helpful even for the main exam. Here for polity, you need to be a little selective. The book has been getting thicker and thicker with every passing edition. It is a little impractical to read the entire book 2-3 times before the prelim. If you have made your notes, it is great. If you have not, then at least be selective. For economy, use the NCERT because that will give you the context. And when you are doing NCERT, it is not only about the Indian economy part, you have also to do the macroeconomics part so that you are basically aware of the macroeconomic terms, concepts, and all of that. And then, of course, the evolution of Indian economy. Rest of it, you will be covering from economic survey, ideally some summary of economic survey, not the entire report. And rest of it is current. So current we are coming to in the very next slide. So I have not mentioned that here. So among the static sources, NCERT and the summary of economic survey, nothing more than that. For geography, use only the NCERT. If you have done already 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th NCERT, that is great. If not, try to get some summary of it. This remains very, very important. I will still want you to do the NCERT. Once you have done NCERT, do GC Leong. That is a very, very important source to fill the gap. And then the map part from the current topics. So the places which have currently been in news, you need to know where on the earth the place is located. For environment, use a good compilation, use a good course. Unfortunately for environment, there is no single static source in the market, despite a couple of them having been very popular. But I will really suggest you that for environment, you have to combine any static source with current very, very rigorously. There is no other way. only 1/4 of the question in environment will be from static sources. Rest of them have one or the other interlinkage from what has been in news in the past 2 years. Hence, current issues, current affairs in environment becomes very, very important. And same goes true for science and technology. And I'm not mentioning that I'm coming up with a crash course and all. When I come up with the crash course, like I said, that when we come to the bridge, we will cross the bridge also. So when I come up with the crash course, I will let you know, and you can think of joining that crash course. But as of now, pick up any compilation. Do not expect much from that compilation. Read the compilation for the basics and then add the current, and you will be sorted. This is your resources. That is the first point. Now moving to the next suggestion that I have got for you, that is cover all the major themes from last 5 years question paper. This is an often ignored part by most of the first timers, that we tend to think that in the prelim questions are not repeated. The fact is that in the prelim, at least 10 questions are very, very closely repeated. And in an examination where cutoff is less than 50%, repeat of 10 questions, that is almost 10% boost, is a huge boost. So the first thing that you are going to do, that you are not going to only solve the past 5 years question paper, ideally 10 years, but if you are hard pressed for time, then the past 5 years question paper. And what you have to do, that when you are solving, do not merely solve the paper. What you do is identify the theme and cover that theme nicely. Let's say that you see a trend, which is an established trend, that from Buddhism and Jainism, there have been consistent questions. So the examiner is already telling you, come well prepared on Buddhism and Jainism. If in polity, parliamentary committees, fundamental rights, features of the constitution, they invariably give you question, it means the questions are going to be asked again to you on these themes. So what you have to do, cover all the major themes rather than merely doing the questions. Second, why many questions tend to repeat, and many questions are based on similar themes. So the option given in a particular question can become next year's question. So when you are looking at the question, it is nice that you look at the options very, very closely, because you never know this year's option is next year's question. Therefore, I said that focus on the themes, focus on the narration of the question, focus on the options. It will be paying you very, very richly in your prelim examination. And it also helps you identify what are your problem areas, because then you are going to discover a lot of inconvenient facts about your preparedness. Suddenly you will realize, I was not knowing this, I was not knowing this. So you will be able to diagnose, and if you are able to diagnose, you will be able to take remedial measures as well. आगे चलते हैं. And then next is solve 50 questions a day. Okay. One second. Yes. So here we are. So solve 50 questions a day. Okay, so why am I not saying that solve 100 questions a day? There are a lot of test papers available, and each test series has got 25, 30, even 35 tests. So from now until the day of the prelim, you can every day solve a 100 question paper, and still you will not run short of question paper. That is a fact. But why am I saying 50? Because there are two ways to approach the tests. One second. Here we are. So there are two ways to approach the test. First is testing yourself. आप सोच रहे हो कि इसके अलावा और क्या पर्पस हो सकता है. Second is augmentation. My point is, You don't have to take the test to test yourself. Okay. If you get to know that you attempted 50, you got 25 correct, 25 wrong. So that is your scene. Okay. Now what will happen? There are two sets of people. One set, they'll be very, very happy that at least I am 50% correct. That is the cutoff. Less than that actually. Some will be expecting very highly from them, and they will be quite sad about it. Oh my God, I'm getting only 25 correct and 25 is wrong. And if 25 is wrong, in the actual examination, I may get even a larger proportion of questions wrong. But have you heard of someone who will be really happy at getting 25 wrong? You have to be that student. So that student is not attempting the test to essentially test oneself. That student is attempting the test for augmentation. What do we mean? I covered one basic resource for each subject. I covered the previous 5 years or even 10 years major themes, and despite that, there are gaps in my knowledge. And how good a day it is that I was able to identify 25 gaps. Because then what you are going to do is to look into the answers and explanation, and you are going to fill the gap. Okay? So you are not going to test yourself, you are going to augment yourself using 50 questions. So what happens that when you are taking 50 questions, it will take you 30 to 35 minutes to attempt the question. The remaining 90 minutes, I want you to go into the answer and explanation of every single question that you got wrong and import it into your notes. Anyway, it can be an electronic note-taking system or it can be pen and paper, but import that pieces of information in your notes, because despite doing two correct things, one good source plus PYQ, still there are gaps. These are the gap filling material. Fill those gaps. Do it every day. And suddenly you have closed all the gaps. Hence, take the tests to augment, identify gaps in knowledge and problem area. Initially do section-wise test, then do full syllabus tests. So what will happen? You will be filling the gap and at the same time practice तो हो ही रही है और familiarity तो हो ही रही है. वो तो by product है, but the main idea was to fill the content gap which you were able to do. So from today, your whole way to look at the test has to be different. Silently but very solidly, you will be enhancing your preparedness very, very much. Moving next. Get a tight grip over current affairs. What do we mean by tight grips? So first and foremost, don't tell me कि सर करंट अफेयर से डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन कम आते हैं, या कई लोग तो ये भी कहते हैं सर करंट अफेयर से क्वेश्चन कहाँ आते हैं. राइट, द पॉइंट इज कि करंट अफेयर से क्वेश्चन डायरेक्टली कम आते हैं, लेकिन करंट अफेयर इंस्पायर्ड क्वेश्चन, करंट अफेयर ट्रिगर्ड क्वेश्चंस are so many that it will be accounting for 40% of your entire paper. So nearly 60% to 70% of Indian economy question, 70% of environment question, 80% of science and tech question, and close to 50% of Indian polity questions are all inspired by current. And I'm not even mentioning a couple of questions from geography also. And then there are direct questions on current. So there are good number of questions which are coming either directly or at least obliquely related to current. So when you do it, you actually increase your range. So these are the 4 things by which you can make yourself in terms of content full. So one good source, themes from the PYQ, then augmentation from the test series, and then current. If you do this, then you are prepared. Then you don't have to look for 5 different sources for each subject, because that is anyway not going to work. Okay. So some direct question, many questions inspired So if you are not following the newspapers, then this is not the time to follow the newspaper, right? So use monthly magazines. Contrary to many such opinion given on YouTube that you don't really need to read the newspaper, compilations are enough, they save your time and all. I have different opinion, but this is not the right video to talk about it, okay? Maybe at a later point of time, I will be doing a separate video on importance of newspaper, how it makes you superbly prepared, not only for the prelim, but also for the main, but that is a story for some other time, okay? So if you are not doing it, then use the monthly magazines. This is the time to get hold of last 12 months monthly magazine and next 2 upcoming issues. It will fill the gap in knowledge. And then you need to fill your gap in knowledge from tests and compilation. Because monthly magazine ke baad bhi, there will be something that you will not be able to solve, but that is what test-based augmentation will be. So 4 sources of knowledge before we move. So first and foremost, standard sources. Second is PYQ themes. Third is tests. Fourth is current affairs. Now you are having content that will be required to cross the cutoff line by a very safe margin. Okay. Now moving next. Do not ignore CSAT, because in the last few years, the trend that is emerging is that a lot of students who are comfortable with GS, they score well in GS, but they are unable to clear the prelim because their score in CSAT was below qualifying. There are 2 reasons behind it. First, in the recent years, the CSAT has become a little unpredictable. There is no 2 ways about it. There are very long comprehension-based questions. There are some questions other than comprehension which you do not expect. So it has become unpredictable, and routine preparation sometimes turns out to be a little less than adequate. Second thing is also, since it has become qualifying, a lot of candidates have been taking it for granted. And since we do not practice enough, we do not perform to that level. And remember, CSAT is something that is essentially skill-based. And if it is a skill-based, then there is always a big role of practice. How much practice? In my opinion, approximately 2 hours a day. And total, it should be around 150 hours of deep work from now until the prelim. And that will actually set the stage for a very good performance in CSAT. So you can practice using initially the books. Later you can move to the previously asked question paper, and that will take care of CSAT. So up until now, the content related preparation, substance related guidelines have been there, but there are a couple of things which are outside the content, which are outside the academics, which will be playing an equally important role in the prelim outcome for you. So please stay on and pay attention to those factors as well. First and foremost, please isolate yourself to some extent. What do I mean by isolating yourself? First and foremost, isolate yourself from the noise on social media. In the beginning of this video, I did say that social media is a very noisy space. Everyone has an opinion on how to prepare and what is best. Understand that there are so many ways to clear the prelim and also clear the main and get finally selected by facing the interview and scoring well in the interview. There are so many ways. You have to pick up one of those ways, and then rest of it is about the quality of execution. When you are constantly being bombarded by conflicting plans, very soon you will start doubting your plan. And one plan that you can never execute is the plan that you doubt. If your plan has been delivering you even for a week, that means it is a good plan and you have to execute that plan. So isolate yourself from social media advice and also too much of peer interaction, because people try to externalize their own fears, their own uncertainties, and that will be impacting you in a negative manner. So believe in your plan, execute it well, because in a country as big as India, there is never going to be a dearth of plan, opinion, thoughts, but there is a serious dearth of honest execution, and that will be a huge differentiator in the outcome of the preparation and outcome of the examination. Lastly, commit the needed number of hours on daily basis. Without that, the compass is not going to point in the right direction. And what is that minimum number of hours? That is 10. From today till the day of prelim. Minimum 10. Maximum 12, not more than that. Because then you are definitely cutting short on your sleep, on your physical health, on the mental rest and all of this, and this will have an impact on your performance. But minimum 10 is very important if you are a first timer and if you want to stay in the game of prelim. How do you divide those 10 hours? I have given you a 9-hour formulation. You can increase it to 10 and you can take it to 12, but not more than 12. 4 hours for static, 2 hours for CSAT, 2 hours for taking the tests, 1 hour for revising the current from either your own notes or from monthly compilations. Let's say you are able to add 3 more hours. Where do those 3 more hours go? So this 4 becomes 5. CSAT remains same 2 hours. This remains the same 2 hours, that is solving the test and assessing yourself. But now contemporary things will take a deeper level, and then you can cover the current and current related static in a much better way. So if you take it to 12, that is great. Do not fall short than 10. That will push you slowly out of the game. Do not overdo. Don't think that you need to do 14, you need to do 16. That is unsustainable. That looks good only to make a statement on a social platform, but that really never works. And do not do mistimed things. Like as of now, it shouldn't be your worry how to form answers on ethics, integrity, and aptitude. My humble submission will be, first and foremost, get to that stage of the examination where you will get to see that question paper. And then you will prepare yourself. So play well at the prelim, clear the prelim, and you will have 3 clear months between the prelim and the main examination, and you have ample time to work upon your mains answer writing. Whatever you could have done until now, you have done. Whatever remains to be done, you have to do it after the prelim. So do not do any mistimed thing. So to stay in the contention, 10 to 12 hours is an absolute must. Look after your physical and mental well-being. This is something you might be thinking कि ये क्या बात है, ये तो मैं कर ही रहा हूँ, right? So first and foremost, from now onwards, don't eat, nourish yourself. There is a difference, right? Fruits nourish, samosa does not, right? Yogurt nourishes, dosa does not, right? Many of people may write in comment that dosa has got this, that. I have nothing against that. I might be eating it, but when you are talking about your peak performance, then you have to fuel yourself with the peak nourishing material. Nothing against samosa, nothing against dosa. They happen to be national food, liked across the country. Nevertheless, sleep well. If you are sleeping less than 7 hours, you are setting a stage to be forgetful, and you cannot afford that. So 7 hours is non-negotiable. उससे कम सो करके आप अपना भला नहीं कर रहे, प्रीलिम का भला नहीं कर रहे. Be in tune with your circadian rhythm. अगर आपको लगता है कि आपके पढ़ने का सबसे अच्छा कंसंट्रेशन शाम के 8 बजे से लेके सुबह के 5 बजे तक होता है, if this is the time when you are most alert, start changing it, because prelim will be happening in the daytime and you will need to be at your peak level of alertness, peak performance level in the daytime. Unfortunately, all the stages of this examination, prelim, main, even the interview, they will call you in the daytime. They are not going to call you midnight. आ जाओ midnight session में और interview करते हैं. That is not going to happen. You have to learn to be up with the sun, be alert through the day, and then slowly get into the rest mode. When you are in tune with your circadian rhythm, your efficiency is many times higher. There is an Indian doctor Dr. Sachidanand Panda. You do a Google, find his work. He has done pioneering work on how much our metabolism, how much our neurobiology is impacted by our circadian rhythm. I won't go in a different tangent right now, but you can do some Google and you can find what I'm talking about. At least 30 minutes of brisk walk will help you retain things better and stay more alert. And 20 to 30 minutes a strength or a stretch exercise is also going to make you more focused. You try doing it 20 days, and if you feel that your alertness level has not increased, you can come back to the comment section and you can tell me it did not work. Okay? If you can meditate, do it for 10 to 20 minutes. If you cannot, close your eyes, focus in your breath, and then your mind will drift. Bring it back. Again, focus on your breath. Initially, it will be very frustrating. It can be 20 drifts in 10 minutes. But every time when it runs away, bring your mind back. Come on, you have to focus on your breath. And after 10th day, this struggle will vanish away and you will be able to focus more. Once your brain learns to focus in a very nice way, your focus on everything else will also improve exponentially. So if you can, you do it. If you cannot, still do it. You break your study hours into chunks of 2 hours. After that, there is something called law of diminishing return that kicks in. वो फिर फायदा नहीं करता, आप सिर्फ चेयर पे बैठे रहते हो. Take some mini breaks. Take a stroll. Just walk karo. Do some stretch or take a short nap. Did you notice? I have not mentioned watch YouTube shorts, talk to a friend, be on Facebook, be on Insta. No, nothing. ये 3 चीजें करो. You are right now going to be, a performer. So a performer has to take care of the mind space also. So do not clutter your mind space. Okay. And then spend time with family and friends. If you are working 12 hours a day, sleeping 10 hours a day, life maintenance activities 3 hours a day, still you have 2 hours to bond with real human beings in the real world, not on WhatsApp, not on Insta. Okay. So talk to a friend, talk to family. If you are living away from them, then of course make a phone call. Hopefully make a video call, but stay connected. They will give you confidence, they will give you courage, and they will let you know that they are with you irrespective of the examinations outcome. And that really matters. Lastly, stay connected to your support system. Any one of these, all of these may be a combination of what works for you. If you are a believer, then you stay connected and stay confident that if you are doing something with pure intention and with pure action, the result is not far away. That injustice does not happen. If you are not into that, hopefully you are having a great bond with a teacher who can help you stay motivated, who can help you with your doubts and so on. There might be some senior peer who has already faced the civil service examination with different degree of success. It doesn't matter, but if the senior peer is there to help you, guide you, and also occasionally encourage you, nothing like it. Your friend, your family. So stay connected. This will matter a lot. When you get close to the examination, things will heat up and you will need your support system. And that is when these connections will matter. Do these 10 things. Maybe if 6 out of these 10 things resonated with you, do those 6 things only, because it is not all or none. Pick up whatever resonated with you. If you do all these 10, in the experience of my students, they have really found it very helpful. And whatever I have learned from my students in the previous years, that I am passing on to you. Even if you implement a couple of them, but very well, I think prelim is well within your grasp. This is not the time to panic. Panic anyway takes away your creativity and your ability to focus. So this, or for that matter, any time in future is not the time to panic. So this is not to panic you. This is to tell you it is doable. And if you want, you can do it. So here is my conclusion. It is doable as long as you are believing so, and as long as you are willing to work for it. On that note, I will say goodbye and good luck to all of you till I meet you again.